last minute to come in and talk about Huey Piano Smith.
Yeah, I'm so glad you got to talk to him because he is the authority. He's was a friend and a fan.
Yeah.
And being a music writer, he is the authority on Huey Piano Smith. So.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. And you have been a student and a fan as well. You wrote a wonderful song about him called "Yeah, Yeah, Yeah," which we're going to hear in a little minute. And how did you first kind of become aware of Huey Piano Smith?
Well, I don't know when I knew his name, but my dad being a piano player, he would have gigs and he would come home, and I could, we were kids and we were trying to sleep, got school the next morning. He'd come in, he'd be a little lit from after his gig, and he'd come in the house and he'd start playing all these tunes. And the one that he played all the time was, I want to jump, but I'm afraid I'll fall. Rockin' Pneumonia. It's like, so I just knew it was a song. I didn't think my dad wrote it, but I just knew it was a song that he played that he loved. And then I remember hearing on the radio in Baton Rouge, Johnny Rivers' version, which was a pretty big hit on American radio in the 70s. And so I always attributed that song to Johnny Rivers. Come to find out,
Yeah, we all did.
Yeah, so, being, you start doing your homework, you realize, oh, no, it's Huey Piano Smith. And then, Sea Cruise was another song that I always loved. I heard on the radio, and that was Frankie Ford. Nope, that wasn't Frankie Ford. That was Huey Piano Smith. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting about that song is my dad grew up on the West Bank. And so when Huey recorded it, and it didn't really hit big, and so Johnny Vincent had found Frankie Ford as a teenager, pulled him out of this band called the Syncopators. He recorded over Huey's track, the vocals over Huey's band's track and everything. It became a big hit. Well, my dad got the gig with playing piano in the Syncopators after Frankie Ford. So, it's all kind of intertwined. But then you start just all the songs that you love. One of my all-time favorite records is Dr. John's Gumbo. And, there's the Huey Piano Smith medley.
Yeah.
So when I finally bought, I've been hearing, ha, 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 ha. The sing-along, hey, oh. Every New Orleans wedding, at some point, everybody's going to be standing around singing that song together.
Yep.
So, when I found out it was on that record and it was actually called, not Don't You Just Know It, on Dr. John's record, it was called the Huey Piano Smith medley. Like, well, this is not one song. These are three songs tied together. Of course, it was a medley. Okay, well, Huey Piano Smith, start doing the homework on Huey Piano Smith, and come to find out that, Mac Rebennack, Dr. John, that was one of his biggest influences of songwriting in the New Orleans piano tradition. And, when you think about Huey, he's an architect of American rock and roll, a founding father of rock and roll. He was one of the last ones still with us up until Monday night, who was there from the early 50s with Lloyd Price on Lloyd Price's first records, Smiley Lewis's records. He's the piano player on those cuts.
Yeah.
Writing the songs, Rockin' the Moon, Sea Cruise, Don't You Just Know It? He was the band leader at the Dewdrop Inn.
Yeah.
They backed up Ray Charles, Little Richard when they came to town.
Yeah.
His singers were Bobby Marchand. Benny Spellman would come in and out. I mean, it's like he was the central force of the club scene and the studio scene here in New Orleans.
Which then
changed the world.
Well, it kind of did, yeah. And it was Mac, and we talked about Irma and this whole sort of generation, everybody you just named, and then people like you kind of coming along at their heels, learning from them, and now you're our contemporary leaders here.
What's the music my father loved, and by osmosis, I loved it. And then when I came to New Orleans, to live here finally, it's like, this is why.
Yeah, well, it's kind
this is why I love it. It's who I am. It's in my DNA. It's a part of what I do.
And converse, or by extension, it's baked into the music of this city, I feel.
Absolutely. I mean, in the 50s when the stations were going, and when I started paying attention to the radio, my parents were raised here. I was born here, raised in Baton Rouge when my dad got his master's at LSU. New Orleans was a second home. So we're driving around my papa's car, my aunt's car, and they got WTIX rolling, and it's like all the classic songs.
Yeah.
We'd have the family parties. They'd spin the records. These were all the songs that were a part of my life.
Uh-huh.
I didn't really know any difference why or what, but as I decided to dedicate my life to it, I was like, oh, okay, this is where it comes. This is how it connects. And then these are the people who made it happen.
Yeah.
And then understand why, and then connect the dots. And Huey Smith is almost at the beginning of that food chain.
Well, can you play, since I got you here, can you play?
And we got a piano.
And we have a piano, and it has a microphone. Can you play, like maybe the Huey Piano Smith medley that Dr. John put together, or is there something else you want to?
No, let's do that one, because that's 3 of Huey's songs all rolled into one. It's High Blood Pressure, Don't You Just Know It, and John Brown.
Perfect.
All thrown into one. And the one thing that in John Wirt's obituary eulogy that he wrote, it was published in the paper, he had a great comment from Mac, which I hadn't heard before, and it makes a lot of sense to me, is that Huey Smith was the connection from R&B to New Orleans funk.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you hear it.
And you hear it, and
in his left hand.
Art Neville was a disciple of Huey Piano Smith. So there, and Mac was. So there's the transition, like right through them to get to where the Meters, the Nevilles, like all of that. It's like Huey is the seed, and he probably got it at the same time Fess, and they just fed it through.
Yep.
And so here's my take on Mac's take on the Huey Piano Smith classics.
John Gros, everybody, here on WWOZ.
High, the blood pressure when you call my name. I get high, blood pressure when you call my name. I get high, blood pressure, baby, when you're calling my name. Oh, I just messed it up. I get a high blood pressure when you call my name. Sorry, Huey. Now I can't lose with the stuff that I use. Don't you just know it? You got me rocking when I ought to be rolling. Don't you just know it? Ha 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 ha. Hey Joe. La Cuba, 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 Cuba. You just knew it. And young girls get a little tighter when you squeeze them. Don't you just knew it? Ha 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 ha. Hey oh. Cuba, 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 Cuba. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha. Cuba, 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 Cuba. Ha, ha, John Brown. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Some Huey Piano Smith here from John Gros live here on WWOC. You put together a really lovely song about
did.
this man. Tell us how that came about, and maybe you could play it for us.
Yeah, so, Huey Piano Smith, he was there from the beginning. He wrote the songs, he recorded the songs, he played with all the guys. He was one of the founding fathers, architects of rock and roll music. He's the guy that turned it in from R&B to rock and roll, one of those guys. And over the years, his importance has not grown. His notoriety has not grown. He got totally screwed in the music business. He did not retain his rights to his royalties, his songwriting credits. So he didn't have the opportunities a lot of the other people did because he had some bad decisions and the people took advantage of him.
Right.
And so he got very discouraged and kind of bowed out of the music scene in 1971. Moved to Baton Rouge in 1980. Was a devout Jehovah's Witness, and thankfully found peace with all of that in some kind of way. So, but he wasn't out there touring. He wasn't out there making records for the last 50 years, and because of that, his name is not as synonymous in town or across the world as some of our other greats like Fats, Lloyd Price, just Earl King.
Well, even Professor Longhair.
Professor Longhair.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly.
They were all contemporaries together, and I wanted to do something to just show that his music is important. It was important to me, to my family, and that he made a difference.
Yeah.
He made a difference. And so I wrote a tribute song to him and for him. And thankfully, we recorded, I put on my record, Central City. John Wirt loved it. And since he was a close friend of the family, he took it to Huey's daughter. And Huey's daughter played it for him, and he loved it.
Oh, great.
And I didn't need any other, rewards than that.
That's pretty wonderful.
That he was very thankful and very happy that I had that song written for him. So, yeah, it's called Yeah, 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 and it just tells my little story of all the great things of Huey Piano Smith rolled into one little tune.
You collect a lot of lyrics in here, so listen closely.
It's tight, and if anybody wants to see the lyrics, I did put them on my Facebook and Instagram post today.
Good.
About Huey, so they can go back and read the lyrics. And it's catchy, so if y'all are sitting around in your office, whatever, you just feel like singing along, we ain't going to stop you, that's for sure. Yeah.
It's radio.
Feeling in your feet when the groove runs through you, swinging those hips on the 2 and the 4. A dude drop in every Friday evening. The clowns hit the stage and the girls hit the floor. We singing yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, baby, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yakamo, yakamo, yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, baby, yeah, 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 yeah. On the radio. I pop a stop and never stop to spinning them records. Everybody crazy for that knockdown beat. Now Huey plays the fire with the rock and pneumonia. From the lake to the parish, they were shouting in the streets, singing yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, baby, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yakamo, yakamo, yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, baby, yeah, 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 yeah. On the radio. was a Central City rock and roll revolution. Banging on pianos, heard at every single show. Now Benny and Bobby led that 3-ring of chorus, singing all night long. Don't you know it? Don't you know? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, baby. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yakimo, Yakimo. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, baby. Yeah, 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 yeah. On the radio, I'm singing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, baby. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yakimo, Yakimo. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, baby. Yeah, 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 yeah. On the radio.
Oh, John Gros, thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming in and telling us about Huey Piano Smith and for writing that wonderful song.
Yeah, there's something about Huey's music that stands out amongst, I mean, you could say it about Fats and Fess, but as if you could go from track after track after track on all of Huey's catalog, it is fun, it is happy, and it is great party music.
It is.
And you will just feel great about spending some time with that music, and you get to share with other people. So thank you, Huey, for all of that. Yeah.
Well, thank you, John Gros, for coming into WWOZ. And you are just a treasure. John Gros' latest release is Central City. Where can we see you play next, my friend?
Sunday.
Yeah.
It's the 18th annual Funk and Chant. John Papa Gros with special guest Big Chief Monk Boudreaux. It's the 18th year. We'll be at DBA on Sunday night.
Excellent.
So we'll play a set, and then we're going to do a whole Monk set. And we don't talk about it. We don't rehearse.
Just do it.
We just do it, and this phenomenal things always seem to happen. It's one of the most special nights of the year for me and the guys in the band. And our last time that we did it, we were in Spain. It was a festival promoter from Santiago de Compostela. It was there at Mardi Gras last year. Saw it, and he says, I got to have it in my town. So he brought us to Spain in November.
Nice.
And actually, that was the last time I saw Monk. So I'm looking forward to seeing Monk Sunday night. We're going to be throwing down 10 o'clock.
DBA.
I just can't say, it's a special night, and there's so much stuff going on. But if you want something very unique about Mardi Gras and the chance to be around Monk doing his thing,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
in the New Orleans tradition, which is total off-the-cuff improvisation,
Yep.
don't miss this show.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John Gros, for coming in and sharing your reflections about Huey Piano.